Okay, Year 7. Here is our goal for this lesson, is to design part of your graffiti sculpture, okay? This design will eventually be painted onto the cardboard sculpture, which you will paper mache. Now, to begin this lesson, you first have to start with creating the letter of either your first name or your last name, okay? So say, for example, my first name is Nikki, so I have an N, or I could have done an R for Ryan. Okay, so first of all, you need to be looking at tag letters, okay, and different styles of how to draw in a graffiti style. And we also need to be using our tag techniques to help guide us into how we can draw our letter shape. So before I started to draw this, my final design, I did a little bit of drafting. Okay, so as you can see, I started to figure out by using my pieces of paper, like I just mentioned, now my guide, okay? I chose my N, there. And then also looking at tag techniques, I thought of different ways that I could add some graffiti styles, such as adding a serif. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Or we could be adding different styles. Sorry, that's just the bell. Such as arrows, so maybe you would redraw it with an arrow instead. Or you might like to slant it and give it a bit more attitude, etc. Once I had an idea of how I wanted the line work to look, I then started to expand, okay, upon my N to make it a block letter. So as you can see, I've had a bit of an idea, so that's what you would do as well. So start to draw it in a 3D kind of style. Now, there are ways to do this. You could freehand draw it if you feel comfortable and like you know what you're doing. Or the way to make 3D words, the simple way to do it is to draw it really lightly. First of all, just line work, and then you actually gently outline it. So I'm just going the same distance around the whole design. All I'm doing is outlining. Okay, so as you can see here, that is my design, and then I would just erase this part here, okay? Right, so once we've done that, you might keep drafting until you're happy. Now, this is my draft, so I started with drawing, my N, and then I added some style elements, okay? And I've also made it look 3D. So what would start with is adding 3D aspects just while you're here. To do 3D, you're pretty much just drawing lots of lines off all of the edges there. Okay, and then that's how if you can see this. Okay, this is just a little draft at the moment. But this is how you make your letters a bit more 3D, just a simple way to do it. All it was is, I'll just draw another one for you, a little bigger. This is not in 3D, this is not in street art though. You just draw some lines, all about the same length, as you can see, going off the side. Then all you do is join them together. So Okay, that's just one easy way of making your letter 3D. Okay, so once you've done, you made it 3D, you would add your little bits or style elements, okay, such as your halo, your arrow, and any crowns or bits, etc. So I would add a little bit here. These also need to be 3D, and I think I had some arrows here. So this is my little draft. Okay, you will also just be adding a little bit of a draft. Now, this is where we need to then add an outline around our design. This is called a force field. Okay, now once you've got your design like so, all you need to do is make sure that the bottom is flat, because this is going to be the shape of your cardboard. Okay, I would suggest that you might want to make your cardboard a nice simple shape, but definitely the bottom of it needs to be flat. Okay, now this is just a draft, remember? Okay, on a small scale. This is it drawn a little bit nicer. You don't have to do 2 different drafts, but here it is drawn a little bit nicer. Okay, so then, as you can see, remember from before, then I draw it up on my full-size page of my art book. Now, as you can see, the N does not hit too close to the edge. I've left myself a good 2 inches perhaps, or less, depending on where it sits, around it. You need to make sure that you are doing the same thing. So to make sure your positioning is right, you might start by really lightly outlining where you want it to end up sitting. Okay, so really, really, really lightly outline before you start adding detail, and then you figure out whether that sits right. Okay, so using that as a bit of a, I don't know if you can see it that well. So then using the same technique that I used before, okay, I would gently outline this around the same distance, maybe about 1 centimetre around my outline. This is how to make it 3D. Okay, and then I would erase this line. I'll try and find an eraser. Sorry. And then I erase the middle line. And that is how you make it look 3D. Not 3D, sorry. That's how you make it a block writing. It's a bit, I did it very quickly, but that's not a bad start. And then I would add, if I wanted to add my arrows or my bits, you can change your little draft if you need to. Yep. I might do a little halo. Okay. Now, this is the part where you might get a bit confused. Okay. Then you need to, once you've got all that done and you've made it 3D, okay, now we're just doing the lines all straight. Okay, and I'm not being too precious about it, okay, but just to get it done quickly. And cool. And even on this, you can even make this look 3D. Okay, so once you've got that done, then you're going to add your force field. Now the force field is going to be the size and the shape of what the cardboard will be. So it needs to be flat on the bottom, okay? Because otherwise it won't stand up properly. So basically you can just make it a pretty basic shape if you'd like. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can have a little bit of a fun bit there. That will be hard, a bit more harder because I'll have to make that out of cardboard. But if you're feeling a little bit like a bit of a challenge, you can do that. You can even, if you wanted to, make a little bump here if you want to add a little bit of a window. So once you've done that, outline it once you're happy with the shape. Okay. So this is now going to be the force field.